Good morning, students. Is my voice perfectly clear and is perfectly audible? Do let me know. You know where I was for the past few minutes? I was having coffee and I had some total of two makhanas. So this was my breakfast actually. Okay. So let us start. Today is 5th of August and we are discussing the Indian Express analysis which goes live every day at 11 a.m. Now we'll start our today's discussion by understanding the Mahanadi river, right? Mahanadi river is a very important peninsular river and everything related to it that is important from your exams perspective, we will be covering in our today's discussion. Now, why are we covering Mahanadi river? Because first of all, it is important from GS paper 1 and second because Chhattisgarh and Odisha, they were fighting over the control of river water of Mahanadi. Now, they have decided that they will sort it out among themselves, right? So, here Mahanadi river becomes very important and we'll also cover some polity related articles, that is article 262, which provides for an avenue how to sort interstate disputes relating to river waters, okay? So, that we'll cover in our today's discussion, that is the first article. In the second article, we are going to cover Lok Adalats. How many of you have heard the term Lok Adalats? Let me know quickly. Let me know quickly how many of you have heard Lok Adalats. Right, Lok Adalats is a very important avenue when it comes to discharging justice at quick time and at less cost. So we are going to understand everything that you need to understand about the concepts of Lok Adalat. Is there only one kind of Lok Adalat in the country or there are different hierarchies of Lok Adalat? That we'll also try to understand. And this tries to fulfill a particular DPSP. A particular DPSP that provides for free legal aid. Let me know which is that DPSP. We'll cover that because government itself is implementing that DPSP by bringing the concepts of Lok Adalat. So this is relevant again from GS paper 2 perspective. In the third article, we are going to cover in world history related topic known as Balfour Declaration. Balfour Declaration is in news because using Balfour Declaration, the Britishers, they provided an official recognition to the cause of Jewish state in the world that became ultimately the Israel. Yes, Shantwana, Article 39A, good. So, Balfour Declaration, we are going to cover in essence what led to Balfour Declaration, what was the result of Balfour Declaration, in addition to the circumstances before and after this particular event. So, this is relevant from your GS paper 1 perspective and also sometimes from places in news and GS paper 2 perspective, okay. So, this is the GS paper 1 and 2 article that we are going to cover Balfour. In the fourth article, we are going to cover Purchasing Managers Index. This is an index which estimates the growth and contraction in the manufacturing as well as services sector. Just like IIP, this is also one of the indexes that you can use. What are the benefits of PMI? What are the challenges? We are going to understand. This is relevant from GS paper 3 perspective. And in the last article, we are going to understand whether or not Indian economy is dead. Why have I included this article? Any idea? Now, this kind of a loaded question, ultimately is asked in your UPSC exam in mains, and sometimes you can also face these kind of questions in your interview. So whenever the panelists are going to throw such a question on you, is Indian economy dead? You just can't get away by simply saying yes or no. More important than saying yes and no would be how better you're able to formulate and give your arguments regarding that. It is perfectly fine to say both yes and no, provided that you have certain facts to back your claim, right? So this is how we are going to cover in our today's discussion. The reason is Indian economy dead because first of all, it is important from GS paper 3 perspective, right? So that is what we are going to cover in our discussion. And the notes for this session, as usual, they will be available on this particular Telegram channel, ATS Live. Okay, so let us exchange pleasantries. Geeta, Anandu, Arya, Marve, what is your original name? Yashi, Shushmita, Amar, hello. Baga, morning. After a long time, Baga, I understand you have been busy due to your work commitments. Sarang, Mahamim, Happy, Jui. Stuti, Gaurav, Kanchan, Rohan, Venkat, Kharbudon, Santwana, Anuj, Jauhar Anuj, Dheeraj, Venkat, Gaurav, yes, Shashmita, Happy, Mahamim, Rajneesh, Venkat, Happy, Santwana, good 39 article, yes. Journey of an aspirant, Benjir, good morning. Sonu, Shweta, yes, Shweta, you had a doubt, go ahead. Trump statement, yes. Marve, Rahul, is Rahul your name, Marve? Yes, Shweta, go ahead with your doubt. Trump penalty and tariff. Yes, Shweta, go ahead now. Sick day leave, nice. Enjoying your sick day leave. I hope you're all right as far as your health is concerned. Yes, substantiated question UPSC asked for. Right, Sasmita. Good morning, Reshma, Rupa, Puneet. Pranam, Puneet. Aapko bhi. Bulbul, good morning. Well, Shweta, you had a doubt. Please ask me directly. No need to hesitate. What is your name, Marve? Let us start our today's discussion with this first article. As you can see, I have taken the liberty to include Hindu also. This is not a usual thing because most of the articles that were covered in the Indian Express now are related to polity and something not very important from our exams perspective. Okay. Pooja, good morning. Vicky Pol, good morning. Now we are going to understand, first of all, Odisha and Chhattisgarh were fighting over the Mahanadi river. Now they've decided to amicably resolve this issue. Right. So here the dispute of river waters and how it is resolved under constitutional circumstances. First we'll that understand, and then we'll understand the Mahanadi river itself. Okay, so these are the two important branches that we are going to cover in our today's discussion relating to the first article. First, let me give you a background. It is Article 262, one of the Indian Constitution, that empowers Parliament so that Parliament can make laws which will be used to resolve disputes relating to use, distribution and control of interstate rivers and their river valley. And based on this provision, Indian Parliament has enacted an act, Interstate River Water Dispute Act 1956, to handle such conflicts. Any idea why this act was brought in 1956? Any idea why this act was brought in 1956? We have discussed. Yes, good. When many states have reorganized, you understand now the problem of sharing of river waters would emerge. So Parliament was smart enough to bring this kind of an act. They were ready by 1956 itself, that in case problems happen later on, we already have an act. Understood? So this is how laws are brought. Now this act, Interstate River Water Dispute Act, it allows state government to submit a formal request with the union government if they believe there is a river water dispute. And if the central government is satisfied that this dispute can't be resolved through negotiations among the governments, respective state government, then it can refer this matter to the tribunal for adjudication. Therefore, Mahanadi River Water Tribunal has been created, but now the states of Odisha and state of Chhattisgarh, they have decided that they will discuss this issue among themselves and get it resolved amicably. So that is why this discussion has been put on hold, or this tribunal has been put on hold until or unless they come up with a solution. Okay, so this is the background of this issue. Now what is more important rather is the issue of Mahanadi river. Mahanadi river is an east flowing river in India, and when it comes to peninsular rivers, it is only second to Godavari when it comes to its water potential. Now it is also known as one of the most active silt depositing rivers, who flows for an approximate length of 860 kilometers. Now the course of this river is that it originates from Dhamtari district in Chhattisgarh from Sehwa hills, and it enters into Odisha near Cuttack and forms a delta before draining into Bay of Bengal near the falls point very close to the Paradip port. Okay, so this is the course. It basically flows through two states, Odisha and Chhattisgarh. But as we'll understand, the river basin of this river is stretching to different states also. Okay. Now what you'll have to understand that the boundaries of Mahanadi river on the north is central Indian hills, on its south and east it's eastern ghats, whereas on the west is Maikal hill range. Now the basin area of any river is the land from which the river gets its water from. So this basin area obviously stretches in Chhattisgarh and Odisha, but it also includes parts of Jharkhand, Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh. So if the question comes, this river flows through these states, but its basin area are there in 5 different states. Understood? Now the most important part, the tributaries of these river. It is Seonath, Jong, Khasdeo, Mand, Ib, Ongtel. I was unable to come up with a abbreviation, so I have created Sejong, Sejo, Hasman and IoT. So this is the Marpeet ke abbreviation or the mnemonic that I have come up. So if you can come up with a better mnemonic, please let me know. Otherwise, remember this: Sejo, Hasman, IoT. Rishi, no problem. Delta. So whenever a river meets the ocean, you can see the amount of silt it carries, it gets extended towards the river mouth, right? So the amount of silt deposition, so if it drains in the ocean, it forms a delta here. And this delta would be filled with silts. So this is a very important geographical formation that happens at the end of the course's river, especially when it deposits a large portion of its silts, right? And it happens at the mouth of ocean. Similarly, it can even happen inside the land territories also. Understood what is delta now? So these are the important tributaries: Sejo, Hasman, IoT. Okay. NCERT में ये 3 नहीं दे रखा है, right? So please do not get mistaken. These 3 indeed are the tributaries of Mahanadi river. NCERT is also only given these 4. Okay. But these 7 are the important tributaries. Now a question appeared in 2015 and 16 based on tributaries of Brahmaputra and Godavari. Similarly, I have changed that question to suit our today's discussion. Which one of the above? Yes, good Sushmita. Union government always मारपीट के अच्छा खासा निमोनिक सुंदर सा बना ही देते हैं. Imagine if we had the ability to call Prime Minister Sir, Gadkari Sir, Sir, please suggest us a very good mnemonic. तुम लोग तो परेशान ही कर देते प्राइम मिनिस्टर को फोन कर करके. Which isn't a tributary of Mahanadi here? Which isn't a tributary of Mahanadi here? सबने तो बता दिया सी, क्योंकि अभी मैंने बताया था तुम्हें. Which isn't a tributary? Wainganga. Wainganga is a tributary of which river? Yes, good Venkat. Another question. Okay, Kanchan, whatever works for you. Rishi, कहां से हो तुम? Rishi is very regular. I'll have to give it to him. जूही पूछ रही हो, बता रही हो? आर यू आस्किंग और आर यू टेलिंग? It empowers Parliament to adjudicate interstate water dispute and exclude the jurisdiction of Supreme Court over such disputes. This is correct. A law made under Article 262 can exclude the jurisdiction of Supreme Court. Again correct. It allows state legislature to resolve the water dispute through mutual agreements without any involvement of parliament. It is incorrect. It allows the governments of the state to resolve this issue among each other by negotiation. So if all this fails, then only Article 262 comes in. And Interstate River Waters Dispute Act 1956 has explicitly excluded Supreme Court to hearing these cases. But how many Venkat comes from Tamil Nadu, right? So you'll remember Kaveri Water Dispute Tribunal. Here Supreme Court changed the decision of Kaveri Water Dispute Tribunals. So how did Supreme Court get this power, especially when Article 262 and Interstate River Water Dispute Act has excluded the jurisdiction of Supreme Court? So किसने allow किया Supreme Court को? Any idea? Supreme Court actually changed the decision given by Kaveri Water Dispute Tribunal. But how did Supreme Court change it? Yes, Anandu, by using its very large power under Article 142. What is Article 142? To do complete justice on any matter. And this issue, Kaveri Water Dispute Act, why was its decision questioned in Supreme Court? Because many people felt that since many big cities have come up near the Kaveri, including Bangalore requires larger amount of water to sustain its huge population. Understanding this reasoning, the Supreme Court changed by a small amount the decision by Kaveri Water Dispute Tribunal to enable Bangalore to get more waters from Kaveri River to support its population. And it stated ensuring the well-being of people is above every other political consideration. Understood? So it in a way ensured complete justice on the matter. Now coming back to another article, banking, NBFC, gas supply, all these disputes have been brought under Lok Adalat. But if you don't know what is Lok Adalat, how will you understand how it functions? Well, it took it under SLP, but eventually the decision was given under Article 142 because only that article allows Supreme Court to do anything it wants, right? Now, banking disputes, NBFC recovery case, gas supply issues have been brought under the purview of Lok Adalats to ensure faster, cost-effective resolution. So, how does Lok Adalat function so that it can get faster and cost-effective resolution? That is the subject of our today's discussion. First, let us understand how did Lok Adalat originated. Now, in ancient India, there was this process where village panchayat itself used to solve the disputes informally. So, the heads of the villages, which is very much prevalent even in these days in Haryana, panchayat used to look after the disputes and get it resolved among each other. Now, it got itself in a form of statutory backing by Legal Services Authorities Act 1987. It formalized and legalized the concept of Lok Adalat, which has been in existence in India from thousands of years. Now, the objective of legalizing Lok Adalat is to ensure affordable, accessible and speedy justice, especially for those who are financially or geographically disadvantaged. So, basically, government has ensured implementation of Article 39A using this particular provision. Article 39A was introduced using which kind of an amendment? Yes, there is a link between Nalsa and Lok Adalat. Do not worry, I'll tell you. Now, there is an act which regulates Lok Adalats in India, Legal Services Authorities Act 1987. The section 19, it establishes Lok Adalat at various levels in India, state, at high court level, at district level as well as taluk level. So, section 20 describes which cases may be referred to Lok Adalat. Cases that are pending in the court can be referred, and even before they go to court, they can also be referred to Lok Adalats. Yes, 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act. Good. आज सारे फॉर्म में है. Now, section 21 of this act says that award or whatever decision Lok Adalat brings has a same effect as that of a decision made by civil court in India, and it is final, it is binding and it is enforceable. Therefore, when it is final, you do not have any right of appeal against the decision made by Lok Adalat. Now, Lok Adalats have also been given a power of civil court, which means it can summon witness, it can receive evidences, and it can also order for requisitioning of the public record so that to help solve this dispute, right? Now, key features of Lok Adalat. First of all, it is voluntary in nature. If the parties don't agree to it, Lok Adalat won't hear the matter. Parties have to agree to it so that the Lok Adalats will then solve the dispute. Similarly, you do not have to pay any fees in Lok Adalat, and in any case you have paid the court fees, it will be referred or refunded in case this matter gets resolved by Lok Adalat. It allows to get the cases resolved in single sitting, so it is quite quick in this regard. तारीख पे तारीख नहीं होगा यहाँ पर. Similarly, it is non-adversarial in nature, which means the focus on resolving this dispute is through compromise and harmony. So you won't see that parties, they either win or lose in this judgment, right? So it will bring both of these parties together, make them sit together and ensure that justice is delivered in form of compromise and in terms of reconciliation, not through by winning or losing, right? So these are the important features of Lok Adalat that you'll have to remember. अनिरुद्ध कुमार पांडे, ऋषि आपका नाम है? ओके ऋषि, प्रेमनंद जी महाराज के भांजे हो आप, कानपुर से. गुड गुड. नाउ आई रिमेंबर यू टोल्ड मी कानपुर. नो, लोक अदालत कांट टेक क्रिमिनल केसेस. Well, how would you compromise any person in case of criminal case, right? If somebody does murder, would you ask the other party to forgive the murderer? No, na? Now the types of Lok Adalat, right? First is the permanent Lok Adalat, which functions for public utility services. So if you have problems with these kind of issues, you can approach permanent Lok Adalat and it gives binding decisions. If not compromise is not reached, then it gives the binding decisions. Obviously not in the case applicable for criminal cases. So suppose if the water or electricity department has sent you a very big bill, right? So you can go to Lok Adalats asking the electricity department to explain their bill, right? So in case the compromise between the customer and the electricity department is not reached, they will give a binding decision. Have you seen Gullak? Have you seen Gullak? There was an episode, right, in Gullak where the electricity bills comes very large and they accuse each other, AC चलाते हो, light चलाते हो, TV देखते हो. Similarly, National Lok Adalat, this is held nationwide on a single day and across all court levels. So National Lok Adalat is basically an event which ensures that the Lok Adalats function in the entire country on a single day, and the focus is here to reduce pending and appeal litigation cases like civil cases, check bounce case, compensation cases, etc. Right? Another is the State Lok Adalat, which is conducted by State Legal Services Authority. So there is NALSA at the central level. NALSA's ex officio chairperson or honorary chairperson is who? Similarly, at the state level, there is SALSA. They haven't named it SALSA, they had named it SLSA, right? So State Lok Adalat is conducted by State Legal Services Authority and it refers to cases from High Court and subordinate courts. Whichever is pending, they will be heard at State Lok Adalat. Similarly, there is a District Lok Adalat which is managed by District Legal Services Authority, and it is a common forum where you can solve family disputes, civil cases and petty offences, right? So these are kind of disputes you can refer to at District Adalat. Similarly, there is a Taluk Lok Adalat held at sub-district level and it provides access to justice to untouched areas that are rural and remote areas. Similarly, there is a mobile Lok Adalat. If you can't travel to Lok Adalat will travel to you and they travel to unserved locations, and it is commonly handling labor, land, family matters, etc. And there is a mega Lok Adalat which is conducted simultaneously across multiple courts in a particular state. So there is a national event. Similarly, there is a state event. State event is called as mega Lok Adalat, and it is all these events are aimed to solve large amount of cases in one day. Understood Lok Adalat? Any doubts? Now the latest development that has happened in Lok Adalat, that it is now addressing banking related disputes, NBFC loan recoveries. So suppose if you have taken loans from NBFCs and if they send the recovery agent and those recovery agent beat you to pulp, you can file a case at Lok Adalat, right? Similarly, gas supply issues. In case you're going to cook your Maggi late in the night and you find out that my piped gas is not available. So what will you do? You will file a case at Lok Adalat. Similarly, traffic challans, electricity bill, insurance claims, all of this can be contested in Lok Adalat. Digital Lok Adalats are increasingly held to expand access, and AI based Lok Adalat was piloted in some states to see how it can function. Let the AI do justice. Okay? Now solve this question. This is a straightforward question, although we haven't covered NALSA today, but you should be able to solve this question. Answer. Yes, most of you are right, some of you aren't. No problem, both of the statements are right. Who is the honorary head of NALSA? It is the Chief Justice of India. Now this question on Lok Adalat. Well, this is incorrect. I told you na, Lok Adalat's decision is final. So can you challenge it anywhere? The answer is no. And obviously when you can eliminate third, the only option that fits your answer is option A. Now recently British announced that they would officially recognize the state of Palestine. Now, does India recognize state of Palestine? Does India recognize state of Palestine? Yes. But many countries, including UK, France, etc., they did not used to recognize Palestine until now. No, can't be challenged. So now UK has decided to give formal recognition to state of Palestine, and this is basically a U-turn from the historical stand of UK. So in this regard, this stand becomes very important because this stand was highlighted in public by what was known as Balfour Declaration, and this was published or made public 108 years back, right? So this has put focus on the status of the state of Palestine, right? So earlier UK officially endorsed that there will be an official homeland of Jewish people that will be made in Palestine that we know today as Israel. So before Israel came into existence, this entire region was a colony and it included what today many people feel would be the state of Palestine. And today Palestine is limited to West Bank, which earlier was Jordanian controlled, and Gaza Strip, which earlier was Egyptian controlled, right? So we'll look into it, how it evolved. Now, Balfour Declaration came in 1917. It was issued by British government during the time World War I was on. And it was basically issued to declare support for establishment of national home for Jewish people in the region of Palestine. Palestine at that time was a part of Ottoman Empire, which had only a small population of Jewish people living there. Now the origin, it came in form of letter from then British Foreign Secretary Arthur Balfour, and has the name Balfour Declaration. He wrote this letter to Lord Rothschild, who was a British Jewish leader, and it was officially published in public in 1917. So this was the date when Balfour Declaration came, and it highlighted British government's official position on this matter. It felt that this region also belonged to Jews, and therefore they should be allowed to form a separate state on the basis of religion, that is Israel. So Israel is officially a Jewish state. Okay. Now this was issued during World War I, and it actually played a very important role in popularizing what is known as Zionist movement. Now Zionism is a movement that aimed to establish a homeland for Jews, because these Jewish people were facing prosecution in wherever they lived. They faced prosecution in Europe, they faced prosecution in Germany, which continued until the end of World War II. So that is why, to let these people have a separate country where they'll stay protected, was the original intention why British encourage this kind of a demand, that is Zionism. Now Zionism is in news for many reasons, so you need to understand what is the Zionist movement. It is founded on the belief that Jews needed their separate sovereign nation to escape persecution. Theodor Herzl, he is regarded as the father of Zionism. He proposed this idea for the first time in his work Der Judenstaat, right? Similarly, prominent Zionist figures like Chaim Weizmann, who was later the first president of Israel, as well as Nahum Sokolov, they lobbied in western parts of the country for support in Britain. But now you'll realize what was the political motive of Britain behind this support. Let me tell you that. That is very interesting. Now, why did Britain support this idea of a separate Jewish state? First of all, it allows Britain to take care of its strategic interest. Now, Israel's location is very close to Egypt, and what is there in Egypt? Suez Canal. And Suez Canal at that time was controlled by Britishers, and Suez Canal provided Britishers the way to get raw materials from countries like India, their colonies, and export finished goods from Europe to Indian markets. So control of Suez Canal and safety and security of Suez Canal was very important, right? So it was in British strategic interest to protect Suez Canal, and that is why they ensured a state that will be amenable to British interest. Yes, Aniket, I was also seeing the last few overs. My father was watching it. So when I went to his room, I also sat there. It was a very thrilling match. Once that last batsman who got bowled, Atkinson, he hit him for the six. I was very nervous, which was almost caught by Mohammad Siraj. But Mohammad Siraj was it? No, Akashdeep it was. But later on, Mohammad Siraj ensured that he was cleanly bowled. Now another reason was political calculations with British. Now in World War I, and later on it will be proved very much beneficial in World War II, Britishers wanted the help of Jewish communities. Jewish communities, even at that time, even though they didn't have a sovereign country, but they were very powerful when it comes to finances. So enlisting their support for war efforts of Western allies against the allied countries, it was very important, right? So it allowed the Britishers and the Western countries to gain support of Jewish people in their war against the Axis powers, right? Similarly, they also had some sympathy for Jewish people because they were being persecuted for long because they did not have their own homeland, right? So these were the political reasons why Britishers supported independent Jewish state. Now, why is this declaration controversial? First is because Britishers promised a land to Jewish people which they did not control. I told you Palestinian or Palestine territory at that time used to come under Ottoman rule. So how can you give something which does not belongs to you, right? So suppose I tell you that Rishi ka phone, I can give it to Shushmita. Am I being right in this? No, right? How can I give something of Shushmita to Rishi? At max, I can promise is that you can take my phone, right? So this all I can do. Britishers did something that they couldn't. Similarly, it contradicted previous promises that the Britishers has made to Arabs. Arabs and Britishers signed McMahon-Hussein Correspondence, which promised Arab independence in exchange for support against Ottomans. But do you think it will lead to Arab independence once another country, which is a land of Jewish people, is set up in midst of them? The answer is no. Right? Similarly, it recognized civil and religious rights of non-Jews who will be living in that country, but it ignored political rights. So how is this actual rights in reality? Otherwise, even no Palestinian or Arab leader was consulted before this declaration was made public. So this could have been worked in case they were consulted before and they have agreed to this proposal. And as you will see, even today, there is this dispute between Israel and Palestine. Therefore, you can trace this dispute or long-standing conflict to Balfour Declaration, and that is why this is so problematic. Understood? Now, let's see if you are able to solve this question. No points for guessing Israel. Next question. Which one is correct? Any idea? Golan Heights is a territorial dispute between Israel and Syria. Correct. West Bank, is it a maritime boundary? Incorrect. It's a disputed land between Israel and Palestine. Sheba Farms is a territory disputed between Israel and Lebanon. Right? So these two are incorrect. No, now it's not an issue between Israel and Jordan. West Bank is now an issue between Israeli people or state of Israel and the state of Palestine. Israel has allowed some of its population to get settled in West Bank, which state of Palestine does not like. Okay. Now, how many of you are there who were there in the economy lecture today? We covered how SLR, CRR, etc. works. I also told you in detail how repo rate functions. So it took me 3 hours to explain 3 concepts: CRR, SLR and repo rate. Do you think YouTube or my time constraints would allow me to explain these topics in detail in the YouTube? The answer is no. Right? So that is why if you still want to get taught in economy from me, you can take admissions to our August batches. August batch will start from 8th of August. Today is 5th. So if we survive 5th of August, we all can meet on 8th of August in economy lectures. Okay. You can take admission using this code ATS Live. It helps you get a lot of discount. Well, currency or the strength of currency ultimately, or in the most cases, depends only on one factor: the amount of trade. So if you trade a lot, if you export a lot, your currency would be stronger, and if you import a lot, your currencies would be weaker. And Japan is plenty weak as compared to dollar. It is also weaker as compared to rupees because Japan, like India, is a net importer of essential goods and services. Japan does not have natural resources. Japan does not have crude oil. Japan does not even have food that it requires to support its population. So Japan is a big net importer of goods and services. Understood, Dheeraj, now? Now let us deal with another topic, Purchasing Managers Index. This has risen to a 6-month high in the month of July. Now Purchasing Managers Index of manufacturing sector has risen to 16-month high of 59.1 despite global uncertainties according to data released by who? Data released by S&P Global. Okay. Now what is important is how Purchasing Managers Index function. This is basically an index which tells you about existing of business conditions in both manufacturing and service sectors. These are combined individually for manufacturing and service sector. Then these are combined in form of weighted average. So by creating a composite PMI, the weighted average of these two sectors are calculated in the respective economies. So what is more prevalent in India? Is service sector stronger in India as compared to manufacturing sector, or is opposite true? So if we were to calculate a composite PMI for India, will it include or will it give more weight to service or manufacturing sector? Batao, what is the weightage of service sector in our GDP? It's 59%. What is the weightage of manufacturing in our GDP? Manufacturing is stagnated at around 17 to 18%. So you'd give more weightage to service sector obviously. So here composite PMI is calculated by giving weighted average to manufacturing and service sector. So please remember it. This survey is conducted monthly and it is calculated based on surveys conducted from private sector companies. And this index offers qualitative information whether the companies are getting new orders or not, what is their state of production, employment, deliveries, inventory levels. So they are asked qualitative questions. Qualitative question means, do you think your orders are increasing? Yes or no? These are examples of qualitative questions. How much your order is increased? That is a quantitative questions. Understood? Now, who brings this index? It is S&P Global, a very important private company who brings this index. Earlier, IHS Market used to issue it. Now they have merged with S&P Global, so S&P Global does it. Can anyone let me know the full form of S&P? Well, last year service sector had a weightage of 59% in our economy. Last year in means 2024 and 25. Standard and poor, good. Qualitative question, this I have already told you, and it considered 5 key aspects to give weights. New orders, output, employment, all of these are given different weights. Not so important from your exams perspective. What you have to realize, that the composite PMI is calculated from individual manufacturing and services PMI, and we calculate it using weighted average. So whatever economy has more manufacturing sector, their weight will be higher in that PMI. Arey S&P nahi, S&P. Here I was asking standard and poor, that I wanted to ask. S&P is something different. We are not discussing science and tech abhi. So if PMI figure comes above 50, it will tell you that that sector is expanding. Similarly, if it is coming below 50, it means that it is contracting. And the farther it is away from PMI, the greater is the expansion. Understood? So therefore, from 58 to 59, if it has increased, we can say that our manufacturing is getting expanded. Understood? Now, there are different types of PMI, manufacturing also and services also, and manufacturing reflects the health of manufacturing industry and often used to gauge factory output. Similarly, service PMI is useful for understanding performance of service sectors, important sectors like finance, IT, hospitality, etc. Okay? Now, the significance of PMI is that first of all, it is released earlier than most of the government's data like IIP, GDP, etc. So, this gives you an idea of what is happening before even the government comes up with their own data. Therefore, it acts as a leading economic activity indicator. It is also used by central banks like in India's case RBI to make interest rate decisions. Because RBI also understands or factors in the growth component, right? In addition to inflation. What are the two objectives of RBI? Can anyone let me know? What are the two objectives of RBI? First is controlling inflation, good. Another objective? No, repo rate is not an objective. Repo rate is a way of controlling inflation. RBI has two objectives. First is to ensure price stability, which is basically meaning controlling inflation. Another one is to promote growth. Now, out of these two, what does RBI prioritize? These two are the objectives of RBI. Which among these two are given as priority? Price stability or controlling inflation is given the first priority, and only when first objective is achieved, then only RBI would ensure promotion of growth. And why or how was it given first priority here? Through amendment in RBI Act 1934 based on the recommendations of Urjit Patel Committee. This Urjit Patel Committee recommended another thing. What was that recommendation? Can any one of you recall? What was the another very famous recommendation by Urjit Patel Committee? That was formation of Monetary Policy Committee. Yes, earlier it was only RBI governor who used to decide whether to increase or reduce repo rate. Now that decision is given to a committee including 6 people, which also is headed by RBI governor. So therefore, to factor in or to make the decision regarding interest rate, RBI can also factor in growth, right? Similarly, it indicates corporate earnings, and therefore investors who are looking to invest in Indian market, they would take a look at PMI also for India. And a strong PMI enhances a country's economic attractiveness as compared to other countries. Understood? Any doubt? So छोटा इकोनॉमी का लेक्चर तो अभी हो गया तुम्हारा. मेरे को डांट पड़ेगी. Now tell me the correct question, correct answer, sorry. How is C correct, Dheeraj? Is it conducted by RBI? PMI survey incorrect. Who does it? S&P Global. Second obviously is right. Above 50 PMI goes, it means expansion. Below 50 means contraction. So option B is right. Most of you have gotten it right. Yashi, Kanchan. Yes, correct. Vinodini, Shushmita, please reread the question. Now it's 11:57. This would take me good about 20 minutes. So we don't have time. We'll begin from this article tomorrow, okay? And I will also bring chotu articles so that I can cover more articles. Do you want chotu more articles or good articles but less in number? Because if we can go deep in a topic now, we won't be able to cover more articles. So decide. GVA can lead to economical change to peasant and impact society. कहाँ चले गए भाई धीरज? Okay, okay, good article. So done. Okay, thank you. Well, that is how we cover static portion with CA also. We link it. You understand now how we cover our articles? I do not tell you the entire thing given in the newspaper. I only take important topics, important information and give you other relevant details also. Okay, that is what I do. More questions I'll try. Well, I try to make questions which appear in UPSC exam. So if I give you very basic questions, now the quality of the questions will reduce. And whenever you're going to attempt mock test in the prelims, you'll find it very difficult. So that is why I try to maintain the balance. Okay. So bye-bye. Let's meet tomorrow. I am out of energy basically. Thank you, Rishi, for attending. Very regular you are. You also all should take inspiration from people like Baga, Rishi, Reshma, Yashi, Mamim. They all have become very regular. Okay, if possible, I'll also try to include Hindu. Okay, Benjir, understood. MCQ, well, I want to give MCQs in group, but I don't have the time to post it. Frankly, I'm basically studying the entire day. I only get 2 to 3 hours amount of time every day, which also includes free, which also includes whenever I'm commuting. Okay, so have a great day. Bye bye. See you all tomorrow.